Hello there, welcome back to Grumpy Crocodile Gaming and episode 10 of C.H.E.B.S. I'm here with Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hello. Can hear my nan now. Don't sozzle your tea. Sorry, nan.
What?
I hope everyone's all right. I was drinking tea.
Oh,
My nan
tea.
used to call it sozzling, like when you do like a slurp, when you don't quite stick your gob in the tea properly and it just kind of goes.
Sozzling.
She always used to get really annoyed. Don't sozzle your tea. It's very bad manners. And I'd be like, shit, sorry.
Interesting.
Don't swear.
It's weird. It's weird what the words our elders come up with for things, isn't it?
I know.
Like my dad always used to because he used to go on business trips, and when he used to come back with like presents, basically, he used to call them gizzits.
Dad, gizzit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very good. I approve.
Always when they come back from holidays, he'd be like, "What's the gizzits?" And I'd be like, okay, fine. For ages, I thought it was a real word, but no, it's just some bollocks my dad come up with.
Yeah, it's just a parentism.
Anyway, talking about old stuff, today we are going to talk about old stuff. Because
Again,
although we're going to talk about new stuff first of all, which is the news of GW, we are then going to talk about old stuff, which is specialist games, and why we love it so much. Because let's face it, it's fucking awesome.
Kept us in the hobby, you know. I keep saying that. I'm pretty sure it's every other episode. I'm like, kept us in the hobby.
We did record this previously, but audio problems and all that kind of stuff. That has hopefully not only been nipped in the bud, but kicked in the face.
Yeah.
So it will no longer be an issue. In
that episode was like myself, magnificent but flawed.
Yeah, it all went well, and then it was just like I listened to it afterwards. And it was just
recorded from two sources, didn't it? So it got an echo.
Most people can only barely put up with one lot of me talking. Two lots of me talking. That's completely
horrific.
Yeah, far too much for anybody to take. So we'll go this and we'll see where we go, and we'll try and recreate the best bits of last time round. But first of all, we are going to have a look at the news because stuff has happened on GW. Not as much stuff as last time, but that's all in the past now, and I've done other videos covering some of it. The Sunday preview went up. And that's the new Kill Team starter, Matt. And I didn't really get a chance to see what you thought of this starter. Tasty little starter. So what do you think, man?
For what it is, I think it's very good. Like if people want like a cut down starter set with reduced, complexity rules and whatnot.
Yeah, it will be Kill Team light. This will not be proper Kill Team. It's 7-man units. Yeah, 2 7-man squads, not 10-man.
So, it as an introduction, if you want models which were only previously available as a limited release.
Yes, the Heroes range, which are nice models, man. I was looking at these, and one of the really cool things about these, and you should be able to click on these and zoom in closer. Oh, no, I need to be in the actual article. I can't be asked. The Nurgle ones, they're not as comical as some of the other models. They're actually quite nice.
No, I did notice that, actually. They're not too bad. So for this, what it is, I think it's very good. Like to get people in, at a lower price point, as the marketing people would say. I think it'll probably do its job quite well. Complete with rather semi-fancy new printed MDF terrain,
which is really nice. You know what? I'm actually I'm going to quickly go on that article. I'm sure I can find it. It'll be down here somewhere. A bit further down. Where's the more? How do I see more? I'll see all. Why'd you put that at the top? Why wouldn't you put it down the bottom so I can see more?
Website, innit?
Here we go. So here's the Nurgle ones. And what's really cool about these Nurgle ones, but you can see more here. And they're quite nice models. They're not really stupid and
derpy.
Derpy and kind of...
as the Americans would say.
So they're kind of cool. And the other thing that's kind of cool about these is they all come with 2 head options.
Oh, nice. Was that helmeted or not?
Yes, but I don't know if it is for all of them. I just threw pictures up on the video that I did. But definite alternate head options. I don't know if they've all got helmets and not helmets, but they've definitely got 2 head options.
So I can't see what you're looking at, so I'm kind of guessing.
Oh, for fuck's sake, have I forgotten to stream it to you again? That's easily another 2% less professional.
I know. We're down to seven subs now. 7 viewers. We lost number 8.
OBS.
With our used listeners.
go live. Hey, the stream with Thomas went all right in the end. It was fine.
Yeah. No, that was really good. I quite enjoyed that once the Gremlins got sorted.
Yeah, it was a good little chat we had. Found out a lot of stuff. Kickstarter sounds really cool. So yeah, these are all Primaris. Oh my God. Now I can't get this to go away. What the? GW, your website. No. What the fuck?
Fantastic. But yeah, I think I'll just summarise by saying,
There we go.
for its intended purpose, I think it will do really well. And also for people who want to get their hands on these miniatures, which were only previously available as weird little Japanese boxes.
They were, yes.
But it's not my bag in any way at all, because I generally only buy Kill Team boxes for terrain and
the 40k
the actual
bits.
and the models themselves.
Yeah.
I don't need any Primaris Marines. I don't do Death Guard, and I don't need MDF terrain either. So for me, that's a note. But I will almost certainly get my paws on like the Ratkin and Orcs one.
GW, make sense on the website. So look at this. So you double click on the Primaris, it goes under the Nurgle. And you're
Right.
Okay. I get that. That's fine. So what we'll do is we'll double click on the Nurgle. And it goes over the Primaris.
Over the Primaris.
Then even if you switch it about on here, it does exactly the same fucking thing.
Nurgle supremacy.
Oh my word! But yes, we'll talk about the industrial terrain. I think this is really nice, and I could stand to see a lot more of it.
It's the wrong kind of virus, Grandpa.
Indeed. So yeah, it looks really cool. I wouldn't mind seeing some more of that because it should be cheap to make. And I've never seen it printed like this. War Cradle did coloured terrain, but as I said, they just painted over sheets with emulsion.
With rollers.
With rollers. This is actually printed on, and I prefer this because one of the problems with the terrain is it's too detailed. Or not too detailed, but too detailed for me to want to paint.
Yeah.
It's like I would rather be spending time painting miniatures, not my terrain. So if they were to do more of this as like a budget for GW at least, range of terrain, I think it could be very, very popular.
Yeah, for LOS blocking terrain, it's fine.
Yeah. I think, as you say, I think this will do what it needs to do. It's a starter version. It's Kill Team Light. It's not going to be proper Kill Team. It's not going to be all the full Kill Team rules. It's going to be basic versions. It's not going to be your esports game, which makes me happier. It's only a 64-page book. Which that's a lot.
Just like Underworld.
Thicker than that. Yeah. Basically, I mean, I think I'll do the job. I mean, I know Kirsty loves these Nurgle models. I don't mind these Primaris models. I don't like them, but I don't mind them. This guy here is like 20 quid on his own. What?
It still bothers me that she's a nurse. Yeah,
it's worrying, isn't it? Slightly worrying that she's a nurse and she's so worse. She's a worse. She's a nurse that's into Nurgle.
Nurse.
And the worst one I like Nurgle is 3 letters out of nurse, isn't it? It's like Nurgle, nurse.
Yeah.
Oh dear. None of this is good. But
busted.
I do like that. I think that's a nice set. And depending on the price, because we don't have a price for it just yet, I'm estimating it'll be the same as the 40k box set, like £67.50.
Legit.
Which I think is too much, but I think that's probably around about right.
Well, that's how much it is from GW.
Yes, obviously you'd be able to get it from somewhere like Element or something like that, close to 50 quid, so that'd be fine.
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely fine. So we got that on the way, and I was like, yes, excellent. I do like look at that, and they announced it and put it on pre-order in the same week as well, so it's just like, whoa, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah. And I thought the mech release was quick after they announced it.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was like, 2 weeks?
2 weeks. And then you've got all your returning Kill Team boxes, but sadly they'll all be £47.50 plus £20 for your cards. Thank you very much.
Do you not get the data cards in the box?
Nope, they're separate, mate.
What?
No, they're separate. They want those. They want more money for those.
Oh yes, a separate deck of 41 data sheet cards.
So I think
70 quid for a Kill Team.
Yeah, crazy.
For the Kill Team and cards, that's mad.
So and then you've got your Chaos Lord coming out separately. Chaos Lord Jump Out coming out separately from the Battle Forces, and God,
that's a good Chaos Lord. I like that one with the axe.
It is a good Chaos Lord. That is not a good Inquisitor coat he has.
It's really not. I think we've covered that before.
We really have.
It's just shit
Look
than
at
the
his
old one.
little monkey face. He's got a little monkey face. What a pile
He
of
looks like
shit.
Barry. It looks like Barry the Baptist out of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking
It
Barrels.
does. Oh, yeah, massive
Give me
failure.
those guns, quick!
Massive failure. Just, oh, my word.
Yeah, it's not great.
That's bad. And then some books that nobody cares about. Right.
Oh, but it's got a nice cover though.
Yeah, it is. It's quite nice. You know, you've not read Black Library for quite a long time when you don't recognise any of the authors. I'm like Stephen B. Fisher.
Yeah, who?
Nope. No, I don't get a clue. Mike Brooks. I know Mike Brooks, but yeah, I don't know any others.
Horror
But, yeah.
anthologies. Quite looking forward to see if I get my hands on those horror audiobook collections.
All audio books, yeah. Peter Fahavre, never heard of him. David Annandale's all right. Oh, he's done 2. J.C. Stearns, nope. Nick Kime. His forte is short stories because that could be quite good. Justin Hill has done some Imperial Guard books, I think. So, yeah.
I might have 1 or 2 of those. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's your stuff that's coming out, so that's great. Kill Team
Nice
Star
cheap week for me.
also great. Jeremiah Call, not great.
No.
We were talking about Derpy.
Yeah, no.
Derp.
I don't. Yeah. Usually Blood Bowl stuff is
Yes.
pretty spot on.
Spot on, but this is.
But that's kind of spot on for a party elf.
Yeah.
Not so much a dark elf that's going to be a bit sadistic and showing off.
Yeah, that's.
He looks like he's got a very empty head.
That's not, no. I just can't.
No. Next.
That is a rare miss. Right. And I don't want to put in the link is Jordell Freshbreeze, and I think he's just as fucking bad from what I remember. Oh, God, he's got the same face.
Was it the same sculptor? Damn.
And he's wearing fucking trainers. Oh, no, that is too bad, missus. That is too bad, missus. That is, oh, God.
Innit? Well, not much else to say there.
Like, I know we're talking about Blood Bowl and saying it's allowed to be more cartoony and that kind of stuff because it's kind of silly and all that, but no, that's just...
It still needs to be done well, though.
That's fucking awful. I'm sorry, whoever sculpted that, that's not good work. Not good work at all. And on top of that, we just got a Warhammer Underworlds roadmap, which just said, yeah, there's stuff coming. It was like, yeah, all right, fair enough. And what they're doing is they're rebundling all the old warbands to...
Boxes of 4?
Yeah, which is very odd. So this one is Hexbane's Hunters.
And expensive.
Yeah, I imagine they're going to be about 80 quid.
It's mad.
Miari's Purifiers. Fundrik's Profiteers.
I like those guys, the not squats.
Yeah, I've got those. They're great models.
Yep.
And then Yafari's Guardians, who I did not like. And for me, I'm just like, that's a bit of a weird
mix.
It's meant to be like one for order, one for chaos, one for destruction. It's one for each of the orders, but yeah.
Oh.
And then I've got this one, Cargo's Ravagers. I've got those guys. The Pandemonium, which they're all right.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. Bit too zany.
The Slashy Dudes, they're cool.
Loved them. Got those.
And then your Gore Chosen, which are okay. Oddly enough, I was planning on getting those to play Gore Chosen because there's plenty of copies of Gore Chosen out there by James Hewitt without the models because people bought it for the models and they just sold the game on.
Okay.
And I was thinking I could get it and get those guys and then just use those in the game. And then I've got a Slaughter Priest as well because he's actually in the game, so I could use those guys to proxy for the other 3 dudes. So if what I'm hoping is people pick these up and then sell these off cheap, and I'll be able to pick these up for like 15 quid or something. And then the other box is the Nighthorn Heaven's Curse, the Crimson Court, who I love, but I've already got.
Also great.
No, not so much. Well, all right, if you like them, but
who we should like but don't.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Undead shouldn't look happy like that. It's stupid.
Yeah.
And then the Grimwatch, who are quite cool, and I think Kirsty's got these guys actually because she likes ghouls. Because
again,
she's
kind of worrying that she's a nurse.
Very worrying. She also likes these guys, and she's got these: the Loon Court. This is your last box. The Buccaneers, They're quite nice models. I like they're all characterful and they're really nice palette cleansers.
The monkey.
Everyone likes the monkey. Where is he? Yeah. Parrot's quite cool, actually. And then you got the Cruel Boys, who I think landed like a wet fart. They did in that Age of Sigmar.
Which is a shame because the design's really nice.
Yeah, I really like the Lord of the Rings style. And then the very not Lord of the Rings, these guys.
Yeah.
Is that the original ones? No, the original ones had... might be, actually. From C.H.E.B.S. I can't remember. I can't keep track of them all. But then you got those guys, and then you can get a war bag of Emma just the cards, which I'm sure
just card update.
Very expensive as well. So do these have the cards with them or not? They must.
I'd imagine so.
Let's have a look.
The cards are just for people that have already
containing all the relevant. No.
What?
I don't think these have the decks in them. If you read it, 16 current warbands will be released shortly after launch across 4 boxes, one for each Grand Alliance, containing all the relevant fighter and war scroll cards.
Is that not covered under fighter, though? Is that not covered under fighter cards?
Nope. Nope. The fighter cards is going to be your individual cards with the fighters on them, and then the war scroll is going to be that. Because don't forget, the fighter cards have been done in like multi-language now. And then the war scroll card is the one card that's got all your army or your warband rules in it. So none of these come with decks. So these had better be a damn sight cheaper than I think they're going to be. Like, these shouldn't be any more than 50, 60 quid tops.
I reckon they'll have the cards in, because the description for the card pack itself says blah 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 for players who already own many of these warbands. They're able to buy the Ermagerd card set, which contains every fighter and warband war scroll card for all 16. So they want people doubling up if they bought the new ones and then buying that as well. Doesn't sound very efficient. And that's
but again,
as well.
That is just saying the card set. Again, that is just saying fighter and warband war scroll. I didn't realise that either. That's not the decks. That explains why the box looks so small. Because the thing is, each warband used to come with 200 cards. So if that's cards for 16 warbands, that's 3,200 cards. There's no way that's going in a box. So this again is just your fighter decks. And so what you're saying is basically, if you've already got these models, this is just the new versions of the war scrolls for them. Yeah. The cards. So the decks are completely separate. These aren't with the decks. Holy shit.
There's got to be a deck in the main game, like the new one.
Oh, the new core game there is, for sure.
So that'll cover it then. Because
so each of the new warbands that's coming out will come out with a new warband, and each warband has a new Rivals deck in it. So you see, when they release the new ones, they're going to get decks. But all these old ones, they've not made decks for. They're basically saying you can use the decks that are in the core game to play these warbands. And what this is going to do is this is just going to give you the fighter cards and the war scroll cards for them.
What's a Rivals deck?
The Rivals deck are like, they don't do tailored decks for each warband like they used to. Now they just do these 4 rival decks. So you've got these different types: strike, take and hold, mastery, and flex. And their idea of deck building now is so shit. All you can do is take 2 of those decks and mix them.
I never liked
that's the idea behind the deck building
anyway.
No, but a lot of people were, and I reckon they're going to be fucked off. So, yeah, and I can't get over how much I hate these cards. They just look like bollocks, mate.
The other ones were much nicer with the artwork.
Yeah, much nicer. Not just that, like, didn't have these bright reds and yellows all over the place, and so yeah. Oh shit, I didn't realise that.
Revelations.
Indeed. Proper nickel and diming. That was it, mate. That was it. That's all the new stuff. There's no other new stuff. Unless you want to look at the Dark Mechanicum stuff, but it was a bit lackluster, to be honest.
Oh, what for Epic?
Yeah, they showed like the article they did in it. It was just like,
It's pretty good. Like I battle scribed all the mech rules after watching a few YouTube videos over the weekend. So
the work you did was better than the work you did was better than these articles that they did.
You flatter me. But yeah, like I looked at their design article. They were like, we speak to the designers of the new Dark Mechanicum, and I was like, this is a shit article. It's got no insight in it whatsoever, apart from them saying we wanted them to look different, so now they look all spindly. And it's like there's no design cues. It doesn't mention any of the old Epic stuff.
Doesn't mention the old stuff that they've.
It definitely looks like they took inspiration from the old Slaneshi Hell Scourge, I think it is, which is like a bipedal mech with kind of like a slopey top with a cannon sticking out of it, which is
Here it is.
what the new ones look like, but with more legs.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a real shame because the stuff looks really cool, and I can't wait to see it in big scale.
It really does. Yeah, and there was no mention of any of the interesting stuff. They just went, we think the Dark Mech would have made them like this, and they're spindly, and it's like, well done. But the way they work, I was actually quite impressed with, because if anyone's played not Epic, 30k, you'll know that as Mechanicum guys, you need dudes with Cortex controllers to make sure your Autonoma with Cybernetica Cortexes get the full range of actions that they can do. They don't just kind of try and kill the nearest dudes because there's no one near close enough to tell them how to operate. And they carried that over into Epic as well. So the Automator, they kind of have each unit has a specific set of like just 2 orders that they can be given. So they can be given, like the melee guys can be given like only advance and charge orders, which is fine because you don't really want a melee unit on a first fire order because they're not meleeing.
Yeah.
or getting closer. And then if you put like a Magos or a Tech Priest with a Cortex controller rule anywhere within 8 inches or 12 inches, if you've got the Cybernetica formation, then you can give them whatever orders you like. So yeah, I like the way they've done that. But the specific Dark Mechanicum formations, so obviously you can there's 4 formations for the Mechanicum for different play styles, and you can take those as a loyalist or as a traitor. So you can take those and go, this is Dark Mechanicum, and everyone goes, yeah, fine. But the actual 4 separate Dark Mechanicum formations basically swap out all of the automata for these new constructs.
Yeah, these new walkers things.
So yeah, so you basically sacrifice those for these. And the interesting thing is, they don't have Cortex controllers or Cybernetica Cortexes. They have, I probably should have read up on this immediately before we did this, so I wouldn't have to stop and think so much.
Shocking lack of preparation.
They have
another 2% professionalism gone. More subscribers down the drain.
Yeah, oh no, we're down to 6 now. But yeah, they have there's like an HQ Stalker, the Scintillax, which has a Noosphere controller, and the other Stalker units have a particular kind of anima special rule, and they are not limited like the normal automata, so they can just be given whatever orders you like. But when the HQ with the Noosphere controller gets to within range of them, instead of them being given the full range of orders because they've already got it, it basically buffs what they can do based on what formation you've taken.
Right, yeah.
So I really like the way that kind of reflects the fact that the Dark Mechanicum had one up on the loyalists straight off from, and they were able to construct new constructs which weren't limited by the way that automata, like, traditionally work. So that was cool. And the other thing is, I think 3 of the specific Stalker units come with construct shields, which work in a very similar way to void shields, but they can't be restored. So they're kind of like the old Epic Orc power fields for Gargants in that respect.
Once they go down, they don't come back up.
Yep, once they go down, they come back up, like people that can't swim. But the difference is that if you take more models in that particular detachment that have shields, you have to allocate hits to shielded models first. So if you've brought along like 9 of the big uns and 6 of the big uns and they've got 2 shields each, that whole unit can basically take 12 hits before you actually start having to do armor saves, which is pretty useful. And that's how they're different to voids, because void shield units like Titans are only kind of usually taken singularly. So very much looking forward to that. Shall we just cover the rest of the mech box while we're on the subject?
Yeah, why not, man?
Yeah, so they get 4 new formations. There is an Autocratori regiment, which is kind of like their equivalent of an armored formation.
Okay.
So they kind of get like 3 battle tanks as compulsory. Optional is 1 HQ, 1 unit of Tech Priest Auxilia, which can take up to 3 different Tech Priest detachments in the one slot, and you can dish them out to different automata and units to keep an eye on them. 2 transports, 2 support, another battle tank, and then they've got a shared slot for either 1 Titan or 2 Knight Banners. And weirdly, the formation special rule for those guys is that you can give one of the 3 compulsory vehicle units a Cortex controller instead of like a boss tank,
Okay.
which is quite amusing. And then you've got a Cybernetica cohort, which is one of the 2 formations that you can actually make straight out of the box.
Okay. Just one box, yeah?
Yeah, straight out of the mechanical box. That you can make two complete formations out of it using every model, which I thought was quite cool. So they've clearly put some thought into it. The compulsory detachments for that, like the Cybernetica cohort, is kind of like their automata based like formation. So you've got 1 HQ, 1 core, which is Thalax or Tex rules, and then 2 support, which is basically all of the automata apart from a Thanatar and the Tech Priest to help out. And then their expanded detachments are 2 more HQs, which are just the Archmagos, either with or without an Abeyant, as the model itself is separate from the Abeyant, which I thought was quite cool. And that's kind of got a Legio Cybernetica rule where every single unit apart from Core, I think, Core and Vanguard, has to either have a Cortex controller or a Cybernetica Cortex rule to represent them being either bosses or automata.
Right, okay.
Which kind of stops you from taking stuff like Ursarax, which is a shame. But the Cortex controllers get a 12-inch range instead of 8. So that's kind of cool. So you don't have to clump up so much to make sure your dudes can do whatever you want. So that's those 2. And the other 2, there's a Tagmata Sub-Covenant, which is kind of their normal sort of formation that's closest to like a demi-company for Marines, I guess. And the compulsory detachments for that is 1 HQ, 2 units of Tech Thralls, as you know, because the Marines have got 2 units of tacticals that you have to take. 2 detachments of Tech Thralls, 2 support, and the expanded detachments is another HQ, another core, another support, a Bastion, and the only Bastion units that they get is the Thanatar Siege Automator.
Okay.
And they can come into up to units of 8, which is why you get 8 in the box. You get Vanguard, Battle Tank, Transport, and that's got another shared slot for 1 Titan or 2 Knight Banners. Quite cool. And they've got a dedicated transport special rule, again, like a demi company, which says detachments with the formation that contain infantry or walker models may be given a Trioros armored conveyor as dedicated transport. So interestingly, you can fit automata inside transports as well, which you definitely cannot do in 30k.
No, definitely not.
So that's quite interesting. That you can put the actual robots in transports as well, not just the infantry. And the last one they get is the Ordo Reductor subdivision, and the Ordo Reductor is basically the big guns before you get to Knights and Titans.
Okay.
So when you get Ordinatus and Siege Automator, then that's Reductor coming in to reduce someone to rubble.
Yeah.
And they've got no special rule, unfortunately, but their core detachments are 1 HQ, 1 support, and 2 Bastion. So you could potentially take up to 16 Thanatars with this one. And their expanded detachments is another HQ, 2 more support, another Bastion for another 8 if you really want to troll someone. And they have, interestingly, 1 shared slot, which is either a Titan or specifically an Acastus Knight Banner. So the heavy artillery knights. And that's kind of cool. One thing that I did like about the Mechanicum, because Knights and Titans are kind of part of the Mechanicum already, they don't have to petition them as allies to bring them in a force. So every detachment, every formation basically includes at least 1 slot for either a Knight or a Titan. And because they're included in the primary formation and not an ally, they don't carry the 25% points limit. So you could say you can spend more than 25% of your points on Knights and Titans if you're Mechanicum.
Gotcha.
which I thought was really cool. I won't go over all the units and stuff, given that we've got to cover some other things. But straight out of the box, you can bring along a sub cohort and the Cybernetica detachment. So you can make both of those, and it uses up every single model that you get.
Okay.
Which is very cool.
Ah, that's all sound pretty cool. Well, this does lead us on to our main title for this evening.
Thank you very much, Specialist Games, for being awesome.
Indeed. Exactly why we love Specialist Games so much.
I feel like an old TV advert. We're going to have to get him a box of Cadbury's Roses. Thank you very much for feeding William.
Yes. Oh, my word. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very, very much.
That's the advert. We're showing our age now.
Oh, God.
So a handful of people will understand. Everyone else will just be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, especially
and that's okay.
any of our American listeners and be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, just see if you can find it on YouTube. The old thank you, Cadbury's Roses advert.
Back when you used to get a proper box of chocolates. Not whatever it's slimmed down to these days.
In actual tins. Although they might still do the actual tin boxes at Christmas, I'm not sure.
Indeed. Cool. Okay. So the first thing you said you really, really liked was that they kept a lot of the games alive. And it's not they kept the games alive because the games did go away, but they've resurrected a lot of the old games from our teens that we loved.
Yes, definitely. But Space Marines come back finally. And I love Legions Imperialis simply because, one, the models are awesome. Two, the rules are decent. There's a couple of little finicky pet peeves that I've got with how some of the weapons are translated into rules.
The Specialist Games, I mean, I don't even know if I don't even know if Adeptus Titanicus, fucking hell, put my tooth back in, even got a FAQ.
I'm not sure. I'll have a look right now while you keep talking.
I literally don't know, because the thing is, Specialist Games does not get anywhere near the level of support or exposure that the normal mainline games do, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because the games don't get fucked about with so much and they're not constantly changing, and you don't constantly not knowing if you've uploaded the correct edition. You can put together a game and play a game without constantly going, oh, am I playing the most up-to-date version?
Yeah, my point's wrong.
Is there 50 FAQs that I've missed that might change stuff and, be affecting you in that way? And that's good. But it also does mean that if there are any issues with the games or minor little problems, they don't tend to get fixed. They just tend to get left. Like there's been some balance issues in the Horus Heresy, with things like tanks and stuff like that for the longest time, and they're not really getting looked at, and they're not like game-breaking problems, but they are things that people probably would like to have fixed. But you have to be careful what you wish for, because quite often
they don't always get fixed in a way that you'd like.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm pleased to say that AT, I knew that they put up the Titan and Knight command terminals as downloads, as PDFs for people to print out. They also did the stratagem cards and weapon cards, which was nice. And yes, it got a 16-page FAQ, which apparently was last updated last month.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So,
because again, they don't advertise this stuff, so that might be worth having a look at. So
So yeah, it's still getting supported, which is quite nice.
Well, they're still selling it, as we found out when we went on the GW website last time around.
It's still available, and it should be, because it's one of the best games that they've ever fucking done. And I'll absolutely die on that hill. It's amazing. I was so busy ranting that I forgot what I was going to say. No, it's still being supported in that the new Dark Mechanicum Stalkers, like the Knight-sized ones and the larger heavy Stalker, are going to come with AT command terminals so that you can use them in games with AT as well. And I'm just like, dude.
Yes, which is really, really cool. Yeah. That's a really nice touch. And that's another reason why, Specialist Games is so amazing. It's just like, fucking brilliant,
They don't leave us in the cold.
Yeah, exactly. They care about the games, which is not saying that the other guys don't, but I always get the sneaky suspicion if it's not going to make money, people don't care.
Yeah. I mean, like the design studio proper at Games Workshop seems very much leaned upon by management who pay them.
Yes. Yeah.
So, they're like, we want this to be a more competitive game, and thus, well, in our opinion, as people probably well know, like there's been a slow decline in the quality of 40k since 8th, and and 10th is just like, really? If you've AOS'd one of my favorite games that I've been into for like 35 years, and I'm not okay with that. Which is pretty much why we've leaned right heavily into Heresy, given that it's updated 7th edition rules, which is awesome.
Yes, I think so.
The other releases that Specialist Games have done, over
Yes.
lockdown and whatever, they pretty much kept us in the hobby. As soon as AT came out, 40k kind of went in the bin.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that we don't have to play 7th. So we don't have to play 10th. We have other options, and that's really nice. It's nice that we don't have to worry about getting a 40k army and putting it together or anything like that. We can just go, we're going to put our time into these really nice Adeptus Titanicus models, where each model is like a character of its own almost.
Yes, definitely.
Especially for Adeptus Titanicus. So, I think it's definitely worth saying that, that all these games that we used to love as teens, we used to just play them. I mean, like Mordheim, for example. I know you didn't play Mordheim, but I loved it. I loved Mordheim. Necromunda had come out. Necromunda was a big thing. It was a big hit. Everybody was like, yep, Necromunda's awesome. And we basically got a Warhammer Fantasy version of Necromunda, but it didn't play exactly like Necromunda. You had like a few heroes in your warband, but then the rest of your dudes were henchmen.
And that's why they got limited amounts of XP.
They got limited amounts of XP. They leveled up in different ways. They normally work together in groups with like a sort of almost like a limited coherency type thing. And it was just nice to have something really different, but it also explored a little bit, because up until then Warhammer had been like a big thing. Warhammer, it was like the whole empire, the whole of the Warhammer old world, whereas this new game just brought us into one city that had been hit by a warpstone meteorite, and now everybody wanted a piece of that warpstone, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned last time when I read the background for it, I very much got a feeling that there was some influence from was it Edgar Allan Poe's Mask of the Red Death, where there's a plague and all the nobles shut themselves in the palace and party until death turns up and they all die. And Mordheim kind of had that kind of feeling to it, where like the whole city's just gone to shit because it got hit by.
I mean, things have definitely gone to shit. You just basically, it was like the war cry of its time. It's like, we need a reason for all these different races to come to this one place where they wouldn't normally be.
Yeah, need motivation to make it work.
Because that's one of the big problems at the moment with
AOS.
I was going to say Warhammer 40,000 actually, is that you're meant to have all these disparate places, but everybody's just everywhere anyway.
Yeah,
because they need a reason for everybody to fight everybody else. So you don't really get a feeling of a cohesive galaxy or universe, because everybody has to be everywhere. And it's the same kind of thing with Age of Sigmar with its fucking realms. It doesn't feel like an actual place because everything's all over the place.
Yeah, it's not cohesive enough.
It's like we need to have chaos guys in this realm, but then we also need to have chaos guys in this realm and also this realm. And actually we need to have chaos guys in all the realms. And before you know it, you're just like, where's the point anymore, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If everybody can be everywhere. So you just don't get that kind of real world environment, because you don't have different places with different people. Everybody's everywhere. It's all homogenized and mixed, and it's all just like nowhere has any identity.
Which is pretty much where Rings of Power fell over, and a lot of modern stuff where you have you have a setting where there's like different areas which should have different races in them, but then because they're so interested in getting diversity up and in your face that they just slap all the different races together or
and I mean,
ethnicities within those races, and it's kind of like doesn't really work like that. People should come from different places and then mix somewhere specific.
Yeah, I mean,
with a purpose.
Warhammer doesn't exactly fall into that trap as much. I can't speak so much for Age of Sigmar because obviously it's got all these stupid realms and everything, and that might be one of the reasons why they did the realms. Because they don't want to do an actual world, because then you would need to have different ethnic places and different races and different environments, and they don't want to do that, because the second you go down that line and like, okay, now we're going to go to the south, and now we're going to do like the cafe or whatever, they don't want to get done for being stereotypical or anything like that. So you can't go around and do like things that are people might label problematic. And when you're a company operating in that kind of fear, you restrict yourself creatively, massively.
Yep, I agree.
It's not been a problem for Warhammer as of yet because of what they've done with the realms, and I don't know if that actually factored into things, but certainly with Warhammer 40,000, it's sort of like, you know where the tower meant to be, but they seem to turn up everywhere.
With the tower, I think it's slightly different because off the top of my head, I think they're
meant to be in the Eastern Fringe.
The Tower Empire is somewhere in the southeastern quadrant. Yeah, they're down near the fringe. But they did discover a stable wormhole, which they labelled the Startide Nexus.
Oh, okay.
Which allowed them access to somewhere else. So they've
the good old wormhole, eh?
Yeah. So they've gone from the Delta Quadrant to the Alpha Quadrant.
Yes.
No, so they specifically crop up in significant numbers in two places.
Right.
So they've got like their wormhole beachhead and the surrounding systems, and then their original empire. Oh, and the Farsight Enclaves, of course, which is still southeastern fringe.
Gotcha. Okay. But yeah, it's just another thing. It's like, you've got the whole... The most stupid thing they did was split the Imperium up. So you've got this Dark Imperium and Light Imperium thing. Because then it's like well, you're going to have dudes that aren't in the Dark Imperium, like if you have a game with like Lionel Johnson and Roberta Guillermin, they're not met each other. So how the hell, do you know what I mean? It's just, and once you start doing these things, I start losing immersion in a world because, it'd be like if Frodo and Sam teleported to Mount Doom. It's like, well, what's the fucking point?
Why didn't they use the Eagles?
Well, we know why they didn't use the Eagles.
Let's not get into that. But suffice to say that that wasn't really an option.
Yeah, and I have a similar kind of thing with 40k, and I know 40k is always meant to be like a setting. It was always meant to be a setting.
Yeah.
But some of the work they've done with the lore recently seems to be trying to put that kind of limited narrative into it, and once you kind of have that problem, you have the problem of truncated timelines and all that kind of stuff, and it's meant to have been 150 years since.
I'm not sure that they're pulling that off with any particular amount of glory.
It doesn't feel like it, does it?
No,
it doesn't feel like it. It just feels like it's all a bit all over the place, really.
Yeah.
And whether or not they can regain that ground, I don't know.
It's like we understand that you wanted to push a narrative so that you have an excuse to make new stuff and sell more things and make more money. But, it's like what a panel of the studio said at one of the old open days, which they seem to have stopped doing now, which is a shame. And that was kind of like, I think it was around about 7th edition. And they kind of said, we're happy with 40k and we're happy with the Heresy era, where we've obviously Forge World covered that at the time. And they basically said, we don't feel the need to push a narrative when it comes to the timeline in 40k, because we've literally got 10,000 years of sandbox to play in.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to doing different things and coming up with stories and different forces clashing and things like that. And, in most settings, 10,000 years is quite a significant amount of time that provides ample elbow room for whatever stories you might like. As long as you don't have like, the sororitas cropping up right after the heresy and things like that. And everything is timeline appropriate with some proper oversight, it's great and it works. But they kind of went down the other route of going, no, we need to push this out because now it's old and boring, and we need to get new stuff so that we can sell new stuff.
Yeah, that's it. And it's constant new stuff, and I feel like we don't need it. I mean, there was a Valrack video today where we was talking 40k rumours, and you're saying like the next starter box is probably going to be Space Marines and Orcs. That's what he's hearing.
Space Marines, shocker.
I know, right? And that's what we said. He said, "Oh, this is what what do we want next for the Space Marines?" And I was like, "Nothing.
They got enough.
They've got enough. They're fucking bloated. This. They're bloated to all hell. We don't need any more. No more Space Marines."
Yeah, it's like I get that Space Marines are and have always been the primary focus of 40k, because 40k is the story of humanity in the far future in space. And whether you like it or not, Astartes are kind of like the pinnacle of the Imperium's war machine. So naturally, everything gravitates towards them.
Yes.
Because there's enough of them, especially now, for them to get about in significant numbers and get involved in stuff. But there's not enough of them so that when they do rock up onto a battlefield and there's Imperial Guard, all the guardsmen are like, OMG, an actual Marine. We've never seen one before in my life.
Yeah.
And I still like that.
Yeah, no, I like that. They should be the idea that the Emperor's Angels and that they are so some people, there might even be a myth, the sky people, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we've heard of them. I think Space Marine 2 nailed that pretty well. Space Marine 2 nailed a lot of things very well, which was very cool.
And some, like Cadians, probably are going to have seen Space Marines before, or a few of them are, the ones that have survived long enough.
Yeah.
They might have seen a Space Marine. It's like, I've been alive long enough to see a Space Marine. I've fought enough war zones to see a Space Marine kind of thing,
Yeah, but, the average Imperial citizen, like, just hears of them, like, as myths. Like, they never, ever go...
Exactly,
They live their entire life not clapping eyes on a real Marine.
There'll be a statue of an ancestor or something that was made to be a Space Marine, but they've never seen them, And you always had that kind of mythological aspect to them that I really liked. And again, some of that seems to be gone now. But I think, like, when it comes to Space Marines, there's nothing else I do want. And most of the new stuff that you've done has been shit. How about give us assault Terminators?
Yeah, I think that's about what I need. And that's pretty much.
That's pretty much the only thing. It's the only thing I can think of that's left that I want.
Yeah. Or maybe a new pattern of Predator that's a bit more akin to the Sororitas Castigator in style.
Yeah, but they've done the Gladiators, didn't they? That's the problem.
Yeah, they went with all the that we said anti-grav technology was very rare when it comes to vehicles apart from land speeders. Well, Psych, our call, Jack in the Box, has actually come up with all this new stuff, and he's made enough of them for them to be in service with every chapter. Lol.
Yeah.
And it's like, really, I think there's a shark around here somewhere that you could probably jump over without too much difficulty.
Indeed, yes. Quite. Yeah, it was. I don't know, man. 40k certainly lost something, but we're not here to bitch about 40k. We're here to talk
I was about to say, I think we've kind of rambled away from the point.
How great 30k is. So, or not 30k, but specialist games in general. So the next point that we had was that the games are as complex as they need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I mean by that is, if they need to have complex rules to get what they need to have across, then they have those rules.
Yeah.
They don't turn around and go, no, this is too complicated for little Jimmy. He'll never understand a table. Let's get rid of it and just fucking get rid of half the stats.
Or we need to simplify this rule set so that people can get more games in for their tournaments.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we need to turn this into an e-sport that can be played and somebody gets 100 points or whatever.
And it's like, no thanks. From my long-term casual point of view, right up until 7th edition, 40k and stuff was fine as it was. Like, there was a good amount of depth to the game. So much so that when we had our gaming evenings on a regular basis, if we stood around talking too much, we wouldn't get a game finished. But the rule set was detailed enough and had enough depth to cover a whole load of eventualities that might have happened on the table. Firing bolt guns at this vehicle, lol, it's doing nothing. It's all just pinging off the front, as you would expect it to. There's not going to be a jammy 6 that's going to fuck it up. You can immobilize vehicles. Literally a lucky shot with some anti-tank weapon. Bang, off goes the track, or the engine's buggered. And it's like, well, that's pretty much a mobility kill. Nice work. You don't get any of that in the new stuff.
No, it's all gone. And those are the great things. I mean, we said on our on our anniversary stream, I had that mental spore mine that caused so much carnage, and it was
The
a 1 in a
C.H.E.B.S.
million. One in a
C.H.E.B.S.
million.
spore mine.
Yeah, it was a 1 in a million occurrence.
Yeah. Awesome.
There's no way that it would ever happen again. But it was great. That one off. It's and it's something that I remember. Oh fuck me.
Don't do the time. No, don't.
28 years later.
Ah, jeez. Some of our people listening ain't as old as that.
For sure.
At least one of them.
These
the
days,
6 that are left.
These days, it seems much more like you have a relationship with your dice tray. It's like, I'm going to throw this all in the dice tray.
Can you rephrase that to be more specific?
Special relations. All right, you have more the results of the dice, that the numbers on the dice matter so much more than the narrative of what was happening in the game.
What you rolled is more important than what's actually happening on the table.
Yeah. But when something happens, there's a thematic disconnect that you are literally just like, okay, I've rolled this and now I pick these up and I roll these again to try and get a better percentage.
Yeah.
It's not like, there was a guy, I think it's I think it's Talk Tabletop is the name of the channel. It's quite a cool guy. It's just one guy in front of the camera. And he was just talking about how
it's braver than we are.
Yeah, we're just ugly. He was just talking about how the psychic phase has changed. And he was like in second edition, or in the previous editions, I think he was even talking about sort of 8th or 7th or something. He was like, your psyker would throw up a shield around you, or he'd use like a psych attack or something like that. And there'd be a manual thing behind it. And now your psyker just gives you sustained hits.
That's a thing, automatic.
He's just a plug-in. He's just a plug-in now.
It's like tell drones. You brought drones along. They give you a rule. Well done. And I'm like, no. I want my drones to actually be out in front as models and doing things and getting.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
stuff on a tactical level, not just like, oh, thanks for that. I'm glad I spent the points on this war gear, which makes a change because most war gear. Alan, we're bitching about 40k again.
Like familiars, I know it's a bit of a theme, isn't it? But by bitching about 40k, we highlight how great specialist games are. This is why we love specialist games. How great they are
instead of talking about 40k.
Specialist games is none of this, basically.
Yes, exactly.
So it is a valid comparison, I feel. But yeah, getting on to the next point.
This is where the main thing went wrong. This is where specialist games did not. Because we do believe that at specialist games is where most of the old school long-term studio staff have ended up.
Indeed, yes. This is what I got told by Suggs. So I bumped into Suggs in Element Games, which there's a local Element Games in Nottingham, like a street over from GW. It's quite funny. And
not over the road like Wayland used to be in Southend.
Not quite that close, but just literally like one road away.
The audacity of it.
Yeah, it didn't help them. It shut down.
Maybe he didn't help them.
But the I was in there and I was just chatting to her, and we were having a nice long chat and everything. I was saying like, I used to work for GW, and I was like, I'm going to try and get back into GW. And she was like, look, if you do, make sure that you try and get into specialist games. She goes, that really is the only bit worth working for. That's where all the old people, like the old crowd, have gone. That's where the old school spirit of GW is.
All the guys that did the work that we remember being awesome as teenagers.
Exactly, yeah. She goes, everything else is basically all new people. It's new people. It's a new way of looking at things. It's a new philosophy. And she says she would have stayed there forever if it hadn't been. I don't know exactly what went down with Warhammer TV for her to quit, but whatever went down really upset her. And she said, like, look, I would have stayed there forever. She goes, I would have stayed at GW forever if that had not happened.
It does.
I presume she's much happier now
doing
Rogue or whatever she's doing, and her own miniature lines and all that kind of stuff. But at the time, she was like, I would have definitely stayed at GW. So, as you say, and that makes sense. That's why a lot of the old crowd are there.
That's why, that's why there's a focus on the way that things used to be done and the way that things used to turn out.
Yes, yes.
And it's very good.
And
it's
you
what
know
we're used
that's in line with what. And this is the thing: I don't want it to feel like it's the B team. Like sometimes I feel it does to GW, and GW are only keeping around like, oh, we've got to give those old guys something. So, you know,
I think it does sometimes feel like they're the B team. I'm sure. Like, I mean, the way they released all the stuff to do with Legions Imperialis, I think, is a bit of an.
Oh, that was a horror
indication
show,
of that.
wasn't it? Yeah.
How limited those releases kind of just dribbled out. It was kind of like, eesh. You know, it's almost like you're throwing us a bone. You don't really give a shit about the game. You're just releasing it just as and when you can and prioritizing other stuff over it. Which I kind of get to a point because, you know, it's pretty obvious that AOS and 40k are the main flagship products for GW these days, with Heresy coming in like a close third. I believe they consider that to be a one of the main lines as well. And then whatever specialist games do in addition to those is kind of like, yeah, you can have resources and scheduling when we have the room for you.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, although I say they're not necessarily a B team, because I imagine they actually bring quite a bit of revenue for GW. They certainly don't have anywhere near the priority that the main AOS and 140,000 teams do.
They might be a B team to GW management. Allegedly, they're not a B team to us.
I mean, I would say it's got to be 40k first, then Age of Sigmar in priority. But maybe I think Heresy probably makes more than Age of Sigmar. I still think that Age of Sigmar was quite possibly a massive, massive flop.
Damn.
There's still copies of Scathe and Tide out there. GW liquidated all of their stock. So they sold it all off to Amazon liquidators to get rid of it. Because they had loads of stock.
Sure?
And then, there's sources, and it's heavily rumoured, but they did have loads of stock and then it just disappeared. So there is no stock on the websites anymore, but there is still a lot of stock in third parties.
Right.
So it suggested that what happened was GW just basically went, yeah, okay, we'll just get rid of it to these stock liquidators, just to be rid of it. Let's have a quick look. When going, So, Wayland Games still has 10 plus in stock of Scathe and Tide. So, it could be worth keeping an eye on the old Black Friday sales for those. Element Games, I know they've got some in store because I was in there the other day. But Element Games still has 10 in stock, Scathe and Tide. And I'm not going to go checking all of them. Just those two, you know. It's an indication. It's nothing more than an indication, don't get me wrong, but it's an indication nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, like on one hand, GW might have overproduced, might have overestimated how popular it was going to be. But then on the flip side, you said that they should have learned from their previous mistakes.
They should have learned from Dominion, mate. Yeah, Dominion was the same kind of thing. And I can point out some of the problems with Scathe and Tide, and I have done in previous videos. One of the problems was they put a load of Stormcast Eternals in there, which were just remakes of previous versions. Like literally a month after binning off a load of Stormcast Eternals and basically telling people they couldn't use them anymore. You know, fucking genius idea there. Two, even though it had more content, it was most expensive starter set they've done. And three, I hate to break this to you, DW, I don't know how many times you need to be taught this. And I would have made this point if I'd still been at Wayland in the purchasing team. Age of Sigmar has not and will never be as popular as Warhammer 40,000. It just never will be, ever. And I do mean ever. It's just not going to be, you know? And they need to learn that, because I think it's going to cause them big problems. I really do.
I don't think it's bothering their bottom line at the moment.
I mean, yeah, they're making good money, but they're not the kind of company who can afford. Like, for example, if this Amazon thing that they're doing completely flops and loses them loads of money, that will hurt them. It's not like Disney, who can go, oh, the Acolyte fucking flopped. We lost 320 million. we'd better raise the prices of fucking candy floss in Disney World. Do you know what I mean? They can't take that kind of hit. So it'd be interesting to see how they do adjust. I don't think Age of Sigmar is going to go away, but we've already seen a big change in Age of Sigmar's aesthetic. That when Cursed City came out, everything started getting a lot more
a bit darker, a bit more gritty,
a bit more old world Warhammery, rather than that kind of Warcraft aesthetic that they've been pushing before that.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, my genuine feeling is that the real value of GW is in specialist games.
Yeah.
And I think it does a lot against their competition, to put their competition down. It stops them from running away with various games. Like Warcry could be seen as a competitor to something like, what's the name of it? Malifaux, for example.
Yeah.
To try and, keep those people. You've got Epic, which kind of counters the small scale war games that people have had. And, I don't feel like any of this is done through altruism. Although the specialist games dudes are probably like, oh yeah, we really want to do that. So imagine GW's going, yeah, we can do this. And then the people that we would have lost, we've got these two core systems to bring in all the kids, which, let's face it, they are pretty much aimed at kids these days.
Yeah.
And then to keep all the grognards happy.
We've got specialist games.
At least, slightly less grumpy. We've got specialist games. Yeah, I kind of feel like that is the level it works on.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when they released Adeptus Titanicus, I got it, loved it, and immediately sold off the few bits that I had for Star Wars Armada, because it was pretty much a very similar, itch to it scratched.
Exactly.
It's a very tactical game with lots of depth, and I was kind of like, I don't need both of these, and I can sell this and then use the money to get more Titans and Knights.
Did it take X-Wing taking off to make Aeronautica come back?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it soon went away again, unfortunately.
It did, unfortunately. I think they did a great job with it, in my personal opinion. But, you've got to think that maybe, GW are thinking of these things, and if they're not, they certainly should be. Because X-Wing was a big threat to GW for a long time.
It was quite a big game, wasn't it? In America, especially.
Battletech was a big threat to GW. Was Adeptus Titanicus in response to Battletech? Because, again, those two games share a lot of DNA and a lot of thinking. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think specialist games is potentially under appreciated, certainly, but it's appreciated by us, And another good point that you made last time around that I've got written down here is that
What?
It's all right. After I say this, I've just got that Sid James fucking cackle in my mind. Specialist games is just better, tighter, deeper.
The rules, yeah. Who misses?
Yeah, I think the rules just have a bit more complexity to them. They have a bit more thought put into them.
Yeah.
More granularity. I think in that way they work much better.
Yeah. I mean, like with the previously existing games, like the newer versions of them, like Blood Bowl and perhaps to a point Necromunda, like they don't mess with how the rules work too much from how they've not evolved enough over time to make the game feel significantly different, which I think would kind of defeat the point of re-releasing it. But then you've got the newer games like Titanicus and Legions, and I'm kind of a bit like Legions Imperialis harks back a lot to Space Marine 2nd edition with the orders and how things work, but some of it is also quite different because there's no targeting grids for Titans and things like that where shots can scatter and hit different parts of Titans. But that kind of went into AT instead, and not in the exact same way where you've got like a diagram and you roll to see where the shot scatters to, but you just have a D12 with locations on it, which does like the same job. Not a D12, it's a D6, which does pretty much the same job. And frankly, I don't remember Titanicus the first time round well enough to say whether the second edition of it or the new edition of it is based on that. But I think Mr. Hewitt, in his time at Games Workshop, unfortunately he left, did such a good job with AT that I don't think it matters whether it was based on the original one or not, because it's just an awesome rule set.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, they do a much more esoteric range of games than the other studio. You know, you want your small scale Legion Imperialis, you've got that. You know, you want Horus Heresy, you've got that. You want to throw, you want to play hand egg, you can play hand egg as well.
Hand egg?
Yeah, what the Americans call football, but it's not football. it's hand egg.
Right.
But you know, you've got these options, and I think that's I think that's quite important. Like Necromunda, you've got Necromunda. That's a specialist games.
Yeah.
And
I think the rule sets for that is so detailed that you can only use it for skirmish games. Otherwise, it would take bloody ages.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great, because that's what Necromunda was all about in the first place.
But that's good. I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that is a thing. You know, it's a case of just like, you know, you want to play different types of games, and as I say, it's probably GW trying to fend off competition from various aspects. But you can do these things, and you know, I think that's important as well. I think that I just feel like you've got the choice, and it just feels like it used to in the old days. I know it isn't necessarily, but it kind of feels like it used to in the old days.
Where they cover pretty much all the bases.
Yeah, well, you could have whatever you want. Whatever you want, it's fine.
You know, you want a few models on the table, but as gangs, like 28 mil, got Necromunda. Want a few models on the table, but the other end of the scale, as Titans, you've got Titanicus. You know, if you want to do the epic scale thing, including Titans from Titanicus, you know, you've got Legions. And if you want to cross everything up together, like if you want to mix it all up and have a decent 28 mil battlefield scale game where you can kind of do smaller games indoors for Zone Mortalis, or you can have much larger games on a larger table and include super heavies like Knights and Titans, or super heavy tanks like a Felglaive or whatever, then you've got 30k, you know, and they pretty much cover a whole load of different eventualities that you may want to play a game to emulate.
Yeah, exactly. And it just feels much more like, you know, we'll just get together and we'll just play a game of this.
Yeah.
As opposed to the kind of constant buy more stuff.
Yeah.
Make your best army, you know, get the points, make sure you're always playing the best one. You know, it's just a different ethos. It feels more chilled. It feels more beers and pretzel. It feels like there's more love to it.
Way less pushy. Yeah. Way less pushy.
You know, it's not constantly making you, I don't know, like it's not, it doesn't feel so pay to win. It just doesn't, it's just different, man. It's just a totally different feeling that I get from it.
Yep.
And you know, I think that's awesome, to be honest. I think that's a great thing.
It's far more akin to what not just got us into the hobby, but what kept us in the hobby for like 30 years. I mean, you can't say there's many things that capture people for like 30 years and then keep them.
And that's it. And as
when it comes to recreation,
it is what we, you know, it is what we lament having lost.
Yep.
And it feels like
in the mainstream studio games.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it just feels like recapturing that. So, you know, you could say some of it is certainly like, oh, you know, it's just rose tinted glasses, you know, it's just your nostalgia speaking. And some of it you would be like, well, yeah, I guess kind of it is, but it's not like false nostalgia.
No.
It's like, yeah, I accept that it is nostalgia based and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, whatever. But it is also really good. It's not like, as I said before, like sometimes a game, or sorry, an album, a band will release an album.
Yeah.
And you like try and convince yourself that it's good, like really good. And it's like, it's all right, but it's not like amazeballs or anything.
Yeah, you want it to be awesome, but it's just not quite that.
It's not quite there. Like, I have to say, the new Dark Tranquillity album, although it's all right, it's decent, it's not as good as I'd hoped it would be.
It's good, but it's not amazing.
I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Moment, their last one.
But then if you look at a band like Insomnium, you can listen to their latest album and you can go, fuck me, that actually is amazing. There's not a shit song on it.
Yes.
Which for me is very rare when it comes to Insomnium, because I think, to me at least, they're one of those bands that does they've got a high standard of musicianship and they can do great songs occasionally. But I find their albums as releases are a little bit hit and miss.
I really like, what's the one they're playing in fall that we're going to see? Shadows of a Setting Sun?
Shadows of a Dying Sun.
Dying Sun. That one's really good.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like where they hit their stride with doing awesome stuff.
And there's another one that's Winter's Gate, I think it is. That one's really good.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean. Some of them you're just like, but then it's you're putting an album together, you've got to try and get like not just a couple of exceptional songs, you've got to try and do all of the exceptional songs. So yeah.
Like I remember recording hours and writing songs and stuff for it, where we did like an EP, a single, and an album. There's always songs that as a band you kind of put together and you're like, I wish we had more time to develop that one to be a bit more than what we like. But then occasionally someone will come up to you at a gig and go, mate, you played this song and I fucking love it. And you're like, in the back of your mind, you're like, really?
And let's face it, different songs, but different things to different people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some people like the catchy songs, some people like the proggy songs, there's all sorts of different stuff. It takes all sorts, as they say. And it's true. And the same may go for games as well. Some people are particularly into something, but they're not into other things, which, is equally true for us. There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly permissible, It's just what it is at that time. So, yeah, I don't consider it to be a bad thing in any way. It's just another thing that, it's just all these different types of games, and that's what's great about them. And also a lot of the games are cross compatible. So like you can use your Aeronautica stuff in Legion Imperialis. You can do your Titanicus stuff in Legion Imperialis, and you can use some of the new Legion Imperialis stuff in Titanicus, which is even amazing. Which
is great, very nice. I mean, like Blood Bowl's the same. You've got Blood Bowl teams. You can use them in Blood Bowl. You can use them in Dungeon Bowl. And then if you're lucky enough to, well, I don't know if you'd be lucky enough to live in the States, but if you're lucky enough to get your hands on a copy of Blitz Bowl, like you've managed to get one imported into the UK.
I did.
Then you can use your Blood Bowl teams in that as well.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I can take all my Blood Bowl teams. Well, not all of them, because a few of the later ones didn't get the treatment, and I don't know if they have in the second version as well. But I did find out what the second version has that's different.
Oh, okay.
So a few of the rules are different. They've got rid of the end game cards and put in some event cards.
Right.
That are meant to spice it up a little bit. And they've reworked all of the teams.
Okay.
But I don't know if they've added any additional teams in.
I would have thought they would have done. Because after all, it sells more stuff, doesn't it?
I would hope so, because I've got some of those additional teams. So I want the Norse, I want the vampires. But yeah, the last couple of things we did last time round was we went through the games one by one, and also we did a bit of comparison between the stupid 40k models and the lovely specialist games models, which I think is perfectly summed up by the shitty Sanguinary Guard that are on screen at the moment.
Oh, they're so pony. Where's the wings gone? They were great.
They're terrible.
A defining feature. And all I've done now is they've slapped little teeny stubby wings.
Yes, it's not even the wings. I mean, just
onto the little flaps of the jump pack.
There's nothing to the armour. There's no detail. There's no filigree. It's just
no.
They look terrible. I've seen much, and I mean much better looking 3D prints.
Oof. Shots fired.
Better. Yeah, no, damn right, they're awful. Anyway, let's look at the other stuff. So we've got, and it's under other games because fuck you, specialist games, I guess. Couldn't even give specialist games its own department.
Better games. They couldn't even mention them by name. Like Forge World. Forge World's like vanished now. The only time you see it mentioned is Forge World resin.
Yeah. I'm not going to consider Kill Team to be a specialist game. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's just...
I think it's done by the main studio as an offshoot of 40k.
Yeah, it's just 40k light. So let's have a quick look at these. Necromunda! So you've got your various ways of getting into Necromunda. The main one's the cool rulebook. That's a chunky tome, 44 quid. With Necromunda, I think this might have been... No, Blood Bowl was the first one, but this one was the one where they quite heavily ramped up the whole idea of DLC. Oh, why can't I just see all of it at once? See the full range. Oh, that's just hired guns. No. Recruit your gang. Explore. Is this going to take me anywhere I want to go?
I was about to say, there should be a bit at the top where you can see more stuff, but...
That looks about right.
It does.
So here's your gangs and everything, and most of this is plastic, thankfully. So if you want to buy into the actual main game, and I don't necessarily like this small scale of it. I used to like my great big buildings and cities that I'd have that people could fall off and go splat and stuff like that. But here's your different versions.
Don't get out in 40k anymore.
No,
no more impact test for you.
You've got your board game version of it, which is Hive Secundus, which I believe you picked up because you like the new Genius of the Cult because you're weird.
And Vansar.
I think they're horrible. Oh yeah, that's like Vansar, your main, aren't they?
Yeah, and then Genius Steelers were just awesome bonus.
Whereas I'm perfectly mixed, but that's like it's a bit of a weird sort of board game version of it. But then you've got your full Necromunda with your 3D, and again, this is just walls. This isn't Necromunda. Necromunda was all about like giant, having got great big cities and things.
More like a space hulk.
But the models in this are a lot better than 40k. I mean, these are the Corpse Guy and the gang, and I compare those to the New World Eaters, and I'm just like, yeah, these are much better.
Yeah,
much better. Got that right level of Mad Maxiness and all that kind of stuff. They don't look like Saturday villains.
No.
And like the Delacs were great. I mean, look at these guys.
So creepy and weird.
Loads. Straight out of Dark City.
Dark
How
City,
cool
yeah.
is that?
A whole gang of Richard O'Briens.
Terrifying.
Thanks, Richard O'Brien, by the way.
And even the squats.
Do good work.
Even the squats look better than the Votan, in my opinion.
Votan.
But more character.
They look far more realistic as an offshoot of the kin, as they are.
And then they took it outside and it got a bit silly and you got quad bikes and that kind of crap. But I got these guys. I love these guys. GW, why is your website so crap?
It is pony, isn't it?
Come on.
Speaking of their website, though, on
there is.
Warhammer Community, I'm sure this wasn't there before, but there's an article on a new squat book for Necromunda called The Halls of the Ancients rulebook.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did see that. I don't think there's any new models in it, so I didn't bother mentioning it, but yeah.
There's nothing new in there as far as I know that we haven't seen yet, but it's got like updated rules for like the exosuits and the Venator scout trikes. That we mentioned.
But yeah, you got these guys. I mean, these are cool, man. You don't get anything like this in 40k. You don't get anything with this level of imagination in it in 40k.
Yeah, it's the
and I've got those guys. And I paint them, and they're awesome.
It's like a wayward imagination, well executed.
And, you know, there's homages from things like Dune in there and Mad Max. And they were awful, though. The F of Decimators, they were fucking terrible. But, you know, there's homages from all this stuff. But it really does do some good work. I don't know why Genius of the Cults have suddenly ended up in here and they're fucking Goliaths and that kind of crap.
Because they've got a gang.
I know they've got a gang, but can they use Goliath rock grinders and trucks?
Probably when they're outside.
What am I saying? They probably can. But, you know, they even brought the Spires back. And, I don't like them that much, but...
I do.
And I certainly don't like him. I'll straighten Alpha. Model. You can go to hell. You go to hell. You go to hell and you die. But the resin work.
South Park now.
Yeah, the resin stuff that they do is just amazing. I mean, look, you've got your servo skulls, you've got your little cherubs and everything. Oh man, that's so cool.
Forge World doing their best work.
And this is what I want out of 40k, and you just don't get it anymore.
Nope.
You get this horrible, basic bitch CAD. 32 or 35 mil now. I mean, all right, that was an exception. He was shit. But a lot of the other stuff is just really, really cool. You know, and some of my favourite bits are from Necromunda, and I do need to get hold of them at some point because I think regardless of you know, how you feel about modelling and gaming, if you see a nice model, you should get it and paint it. You've got the Beastman, he was really cool.
The hobby for it.
Giant rats.
Where's the bomb rats?
And what I was going to say was like, the bomb rats need to get for Kirsty. What I was going to say is like Necromunda did come up with a lot of wargaming DLC. So you buy your warband, then you buy your additional warband box, then you buy your weapons upgrade kit. then you buy your special character in resin, then you buy your own book, and then you buy your cards.
But it's
Whereas
still
I
not
know
cheaper
you
than
never
a
played
40k
it, but
army.
the original Necromunda was you bought the rule book, you bought the expansion Outlanders, and you bought your gang, and then you bought a couple of blisters to upgrade your gang, and that was it. And all right, you couldn't convert any of the models or anything; it's all made out of metal in one piece. But GW obviously said that that's not we're not making enough money out of that, so we need to charge. We need to come up with all this DLC, but some of this stuff I've not even seen, man. It's so nice. Like this Asungar, the Lady of Ash. That's awesome. Yeah, it's got a squat helmet in its claws.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's
quite good.
really nice, man.
You might want
So
to
again-
I was about to say you might want to scooch it over to the left a little bit because it's like the image is getting lost behind the your very nice grumpy grognard corners.
Oh, okay. This is the other thing with GWs. You go back, and it doesn't take you back to where you were with all the stuff.
No,
It
resets the whole page.
resets the whole page. GW, come on, seriously. You're meant to be £1 billion company, for fuck's sake.
Well,
What a
that's
joke.
what happens when you get nepotism to do the IT stuff.
I guess so. I nearly got that job. I should have got it. I would have done better. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay. I can just drag it across from here.
There you go.
I can shrink it down a bit. Shrink. There we go. So you can see it now. That's a lovely model. It's lovely. It's just really nice.
Little bit of Tuscan Raider in that one.
Yeah, well, the whole thing behind them. I mean, I painted mine like Tuscan Raiders.
Ah, that's right.
I'll put a picture of them up on here. I've gone back and it's gone, fuck you. You can only see 36 out of 203. So I'm not doing that again. Fuck you, GW. That's Necromunda.
5 times is enough. Like,
Yeah, oh, fucking hell. And as I say, you've got all your upgrades and everything. And, it's DLC at the end of the day, but it's all quite cool.
it's
Next up,
still a
Underworlds. Are we calling Underworlds?
Still a relatively low buy-in compared to the two main.
Oh, yeah,
systems.
totally. Underworlds has nothing because obviously they're relaunching it and they've just decided that it's best to just leave you with a blank page for some reason.
You can't look at any of the existing stuff that you might want to buy in a new box because
I mean, at least put a link to the fucking Warhammer community article or something in there. Fuck me. I've got to have all the ideas. Warcry, I'm not going to call Warcry a specialist game either.
No.
I think it's the same as Kill Team. It's just Age of Sigma Light, even though it's a completely different rule set. We'll skip that one. Titanicus.
Oh, great success.
Now, the great thing about Titanicus, what I really love, apart from the things we loved about the game, and again, you've got your Warhammer DLC because you've got to buy a card pack and you've got to buy terminals, and they did come in the boxes originally, and then they
You don't have
cheaped
to buy
out
a card
on it.
pack. You get them all.
Sorry?
You don't have to buy a card pack.
For the extra weapons you do, I think. I think you only get basic weapons in the boxes.
You get cards for the weapons that you get, and if you buy the resin ones from Forge World, you get like a cutout card.
Oh, the cheap thin ones that they started doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
Like the kind of stuff you used to get in the White Dwarf magazine, and you now get the White Dwarf magazine again after them saying for years that they couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's that kind of card stock. So technically, you don't have to buy the card packs.
But it's nice they're still doing it. You get box set, 110 quid, that'll give you enough to get going. It's not bad. You've got some bits and
But they
pieces.
still did a separate rule box. Like the rule box, which has got like the rules and all the...
No, it doesn't look like it.
Oh, that's a shame. Because that was really good value. It was like 35 quid, and you got the rule book, you got
And
like
the
the rules
sprue,
and
yeah.
stuff. You got the sprue for the templates and whatnot.
Dice as well, I think.
Yeah. You got dice, you got terminals in it, you got the little plastic sprue for the
Doesn't
little
look like
terminal
they do that
pegs.
anymore.
That's a shame, because that was really good. You could get that and then just
Battle
get...
groups haven't sold out yet either. So yeah, you've got your Titans going from £110 all the way down to like, I think 47 quid for a couple of Warhounds.
Two Warhounds, yeah.
Boxes of Knights going to set you back a bit. They do resin ones as well. And Adeptus Titanicus is just a great game where each of your units feels like an individual. And you can have weird things happen, like your engine rebels, your
Rebels, yeah.
machine spirit goes, fuck you!
You've annoyed the machine spirit of your unreasonable demands, and it decides to do whatever it wants to do instead of what you want it to do, which can cost you the game, but it is a risk that you take when you push your reactor beyond its limits, when you try and get stuff done beyond
Exactly, but
what
you can
you
do all
should.
this stuff. It feels very computer game, or it feels like Mech
Yeah,
Warrior and stuff like that. And
it really does. All of it.
I don't know if it'll be here.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I need to see a Warhound kicker. Here we go, sprues. All the little pistons and everything are separate.
Oh yeah.
These things are so much fun to build. Like, just as a building experience, I was like, this is just incredible. This is like almost like Airfix kits.
Oh,
with
very
a lot of
nice
detail.
models. Very
So,
nice. And whatever absolute Don designed these, put magnet
magnet
recesses
holes,
in them
yes.
for the weapons and
Yeah.
arms. Are just awesome.
Another way in which specialist games are just better.
Yep.
And then Adeptus Titanicus leads into Legions Imperialis.
Ooh.
And there's the Mechanicum Battle Group. Come out in full Horus Heresy style, please. Soon.
Yeah. All attacks.
All attacks.
Finally, an all attacks. I was mildly disappointed to see that it actually uses, in epic scale at least, the same chassis as a Domitar. I thought it would have been a little bit different and slightly more evil, given that it's initially an invention of the Dark Mechanicum.
Well, I think we can see that being carried over.
But,
one of the problems with Legion Imperialis is some of the pricing is absolutely batshit.
yeah, I mean, for vehicles and stuff, I kind of accept it.
The vehicles are very, very well designed kits and very intricate kits, maybe over engineered in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe a bit too well done.
I don't think that the leg of a Leviathan Dreadnought needs to be 4 or 5 pieces.
Yeah, 3 pieces. And I don't see why the smokestacks on the side of like the exhausts on Rhinos need to be separate at that scale.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, I mean, it's drop pods specifically. They do them in boxes of 4. But if you're going to do a drop pod assault, you need at least, I think I worked it out, you need at least 10 of the damn things.
Yeah.
And they're 25 quid for 4. And it's just like, really?
25 quid for 4 from a discounter. From GW, it's £31.50 for 4.
Yeah, now, I mean, like, they're nice models, don't get me wrong. And the sprues are rammed with bits, if I remember rightly. So I can see why they would want people to pay more for them.
Yay, but oh my God, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Drop
pods are a specific culprit.
But yeah, it's a great game. It's got a lot of in common with second edition Space Marine, and little bits from 40k Epic 40k rather. Sadly, it is just Horus Heresy based, so there's no Xenos or anything.
That's what I was about to say. That's pretty much the only downside to it.
It is Civil War set, which is a shame because I imagine they could do a lot of really good work. But maybe
I mean, technically, they could put Orcs and Eldar in because they were knocking around at that point.
Yeah. It had an awkward birth, very
awkward,
compromised life, compromised release.
You did that on purpose. I was just talking about Orcs, and you went awkward.
Yeah. You see what I did there?
I did.
But yeah. In general, Adeptus Titanicus very good, and the big scale of that Horus Heresy, based off the 7th edition 40k rules.
I like to call it 7.5 because
the
7th edition with a lot of refinement and tweaks and improvements, and it's
great, bigger, much bigger, more impressive models. The thing about Legion Imperialis is Legion Imperialis allows you to actually recreate the scale of the Horus Heresy, whereas the Horus Heresy game, being a 32mm game, you never will. Even if you take a 5,000 point Horus Heresy army, it would be nothing but a medium-sized skirmish in the Horus Heresy, where you've literally got thousands of Space Marines going at once, kind of thing, and whole squadrons of tanks. You can begin to recreate that with Legion Imperialis. You cannot with anything else. So that's that. And then lastly, we've got Blood Bowl, which is just handball leg, throwing around. Oh, the Chaos Dwarfs have sold well. Nice,
good.
Lots of different teams, very different feel, very tight rule set, chess-like, very tactical. If you want a more open, streamlined action-style game, get Blitz Bowl. Unless you're in the UK, in which case, fuck you, because reasons.
Yeah, only America and Germany don't understand.
Because GW don't love you, basically. But no, loads of really cool stuff. Again, some resin stuff, that's really nice, some resin stuff that's not great, but more good stuff than bad, I would say.
Oh, definitely.
That the elves that we looked at earlier were probably the worst ones that I can think of. Like this is one of the recent ones. Fuck the Unstoppable. That's nice. That's awesome. That's really cool. So yeah, Blood Bowl, loads of different teams, like loads.
There is a lot now.
Like 25, 30 teams, I reckon, maybe.
Nice.
So look,
there's at least what there's 3 undead. Three.
Full range.
There's 3. There's at least 3 undead teams, which is great.
4.
4.
Shambling, Necromantic.
Yep. You've got the vampires
and
4th one.
I might be right. There's only 3.
It is just 3.
I thought it was 4. No, I think you are right. I think there was. What's the one? Oh no, I'm thinking of Nurgle. They're not bloody undead at all.
How dare you even?
Smell like it, but not. But this isn't all of the Blood Bowl teams. I can tell you that straight away.
Nope.
Vampires is missing. They're not there. They should be, but they're not. So that's not all of them. So good job on the tagging on the website, GW. Good work. Fine work. I think the rest are there. But yeah, Blood Bowl.
You rate them at every turn.
Blood Bowl, you buy in, you get 30, and this is after 20% price increase. This was a lot cheaper before. Yep. You buy your team for 33 quid. You can pick up the cards if you can. They're limited edition. They normally go straight away. Get a pitch and some dice and everything, and a rule book, and off you go. So again, easily under 100 quid in for a buy-in for 2 people. And just a great game. So Specialist Games, they just do everything we love. We love. It's brilliant.
Thank you very much for your time and effort.
Indeed, yes. Specialist Games, we love you. You're fucking awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever hear this, but thanks.
Oh, you never know. Andy Hall might be a listener. He might be a listener. I doubt it very much, but yeah.
Fight of Cyraxis, do something.
He might pay attention to us. But yeah, that's it. Matt, have you got enough time left to kill a Biotitan?
Yeah, we can go and play some Space Marine 2, I think.
Cool. Let's go kill a Hierophant. Thanks for listening in, guys. We will catch you soon.
Thanks, chaps. Cheerio.
Bye.